Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm the Witch of Wonderlust, and this is going to be, I guess, another kind of different video. I'm really broadening my spectrum this month, aren't I? This video is going to be all about content creators and the questions that you asked me. So on my Instagram, I asked you what you were interested in as to why content creators do certain things, why they don't do certain things, or just kind of questions you wanted to ask content creators in general. Anywhere from just questions from you as a viewer or questions from you as an aspiring content creator. And I got some really interesting and very good questions. I didn't want it just to be me answering questions. I kind of wanted other people's input because I am just one person with one person's experiences and one person's knowledge. There are endless of other people with different experiences and different knowledge on the same subject. So I figured I would reach out to a couple different people and get their takes on this. In this video, I suppose interviewed essentially two different content creators, and I wanted kind of a variety. One of the people who I interviewed is an online friend of mine, and we met through Instagram. She is also a witchy content creator, but she specializes on the platform Instagram and does not use YouTube. So I thought that would be a very interesting point of view because I specialize on YouTube and I kind of dabble on Instagram. And then I have another person that I reached out to. She is a travel influencer and a filmmaker here on YouTube. So the first interview you're going to see is with Temperance. She runs the Wild Woman Witchcraft account on Instagram with almost 70,000 followers. Right now her account is shadow banned, but she's moved all of her content over to a blog. Everything will be linked down below if you want to connect with her. She's got some really good information, and also she posts really good witchcraft memes. So I reached out to her and I asked her a few of those questions, and here's that interview now.
I am Temperance. I am the creator of Wild Woman Witchcraft on Instagram. I also run the Wild Woman Witchcraft blog, and I'm an author and a writer and a generally awesome person, I think. So I'm a folk witch. I practice Irish folk magic. I've been practicing it since 2001, so it's about 18 years now, and I practice left-hand path witchcraft, so it is quite different than Wicca or love and light type of witchcraft, but in general I'm happy to answer questions. I teach folk witchcraft and pagan spirituality, so that's who I am.
So thanks for coming on. I know that your platform is a little different than mine. I'm on YouTube quite often, whereas yours is mainly a blog and Instagram, correct?
Yes, I am mainly on Instagram and a blog.
What kind of things do you like to post and like create, and what kind of content is your content?
My favorite kind of content to create is actually like pictures of plants and things like that. I find though that average follower enjoys memes and jokes, so I also create a lot of memes and jokes in my content, but I do prefer more serious posts about spirituality or just thoughts and musings in general.
The interview is mainly about kind of what the audience wants to know about the created side of like what we do, why we do the things that we do, and a lot of like ads and sponsors and payments, things like that. Common misconception about you or your life that you get a lot when people know that you're a creator, or even like from your audience?
I think the biggest, and I'm sure that you're going to relate to this, the biggest common misconception is that this is like my full-time job, and it's absolutely not my full-time job. I like really don't get paid for it, or like if I do, it's like very little. I don't just sit on my phone all day, although like a lot of people would argue with that, but like I'm not doing this all day on my phone. I'm doing other things. So like the part of me that's online seems like it's always present, but it's actually very disconnected between like small bursts throughout the day.
Yeah, one of the things is like when like how do you deal with sponsorships? Do you reach out to them? Do you wait for them to reach out to you? How do you price those things? Like what kind of...
Every page is going to be different in that, right? I choose not to work with sponsorships. That's a personal choice I've made. Throughout the time I've been running my page, I did for a while work with them, but I just felt like I didn't really align with many of the sponsorships. So really at this point I just work with publishers because I'm always happy to read a book and review it. But when it comes into products, it becomes an issue of like, do I align with the product? Do I like the person creating the product? What do they expect from me? Because I've never been willing to post a product to my actual feed. So it's always been, I'll sponsor you on my website. I'll sponsor you in my stories. You don't have a space on my feed, if they did want a space on my feed, then the price would be what I think is relevant to show to almost 70,000 followers. So yeah, it would be quite higher than probably what they're expecting. You know, there's like that formula online that you can read. It's like for every 1,000 followers, you're supposed to charge this, and as it goes up, it goes up. But in general, for me as a content creator, I'd prefer to just partner with people whose content I enjoy, and then we'll figure out what works for both of us. As far as payment, I think like smaller companies that ask me to write for them, the average, you know, and writers are kind of hard because writers don't talk about how much they get paid. Writers don't get paid very much at all. When I wrote my book, I did it because I wanted to write it. I didn't get it. I wasn't J.K. Rowling over here. So, you know, I did it because I wanted to do it. Like I partner up with the app called Amino, and they pay per, I think they're like switching into something like YouTube. So it's like per content view and per click and per like and stuff like that. And it averages out to like, I want to say like $150 to $200 a month, which is, you know, not bad, but it's certainly not going to pay your bills. In general, I think a lot of content creators just create content because they like to do it.
Yeah, that's 100% how I started making stuff, was I just enjoyed it. A big misconception is that like, A, it's your full-time job, and B, that you get paid. Like, I think a lot of people think that content creators are just loaded. I think it's because it's like those bigger, like those really big content creators that are like, look at my new car, look at my 3 mansions. Yeah. And it's like, okay, but you know, they're like really big, whereas, you know, we're not getting paid enough to pay our bills and stuff from this.
No. Yeah, a lot of us like, and I think, you know, in this world, there's like those terms of like, in terms of where you fall in the content creator, there's like what I think they're called like micro content, micro influencers, which have 5,000 to about 15,000 followers. And then there's like just kind of, I don't know, it's not called macro at that point, but just there's a stage in between from 15 to about 200,000 followers. And then there's the macro influencers who have like, you know, the 200, 300 plus thousand followers all the way into the millions. So where you fall on that chain kind of like denotes how people view you and want to pay you. So it works for us because when you're in a niche category, they like to see smaller influencers because you have more engagement with your population. But if you were a fashion blogger or something, it wouldn't matter.
Right. Well, and that's a big thing too, is like, I grew pretty quickly, like way faster than I was expecting. Like I wasn't really expecting to grow at all. I was just doing it because I enjoyed it. And I started out with this like really small community, and, you know, like I was able to reply to almost everybody. Mm-hmm. And I really liked that. And now overwhelming because like I just like physically cannot reply to everybody, or like see everybody's post, or see everybody's comment, or see everybody's DM or email or whatever. Yeah. 100K people just like shouting at you to get your attention. And you're like, what?
Yes, that's exactly it. Because, and see, the thing is like, you're on 2 platforms where you like really see it versus like my platforms, like I write. So when something goes out into the world, I don't have to hear what they say back to me because it's not always on my own feed. But for you, both of your content is on your feeds. So like you're getting those notifications. And I think that's like something people don't realize too, is I mean, it's totally off topic to the sponsorship thing, but when you have followers like at this amount, I turned off all my notifications. So like if you're trying to get a hold of me, email me, because otherwise I might not see it. Like, and you know, since I've had my issues with Instagram lately, I almost don't even need to turn them off because they don't give me my notifications anyways. But yeah, I mean, that's just like being, you know, that's the thing that's not even really discussed in these topics, I don't think, that you sent me over, but that's like another thing, is being like shadow banned from a platform. It's a big deal for a content creator, because if you're creating content and then no one sees your content and you're like, oh.
Chronological order of like when things were posted, and instead of putting things more that are like, oh, well, you like this person more, so we're going to show you more of this person, instead of like chronological order. Because there's some people that I follow on Instagram, and just because like they haven't posted in a while, so the algorithm is throwing them off, like I haven't seen their post in months, and I was like, where did they go? And it's just because Instagram just not showing it to me.
I wouldn't call myself like an expert, but I know a lot about how the Instagram algorithm works because I've had to figure it out. And I think for you specifically, I first came into contact, okay, I want to say I started following you, rough guess, I want to say maybe in June. I feel like that's right. But I came into contact with your account in December of last year. Kind of like cyber followed you for a little while before really following you, because a lot of like witchy pages, I just don't vibe with them. And even though someone might have a high follower count, if they're being obnoxious all the time, like in what they say, I'm just not interested. So I feel like I came into contact with your account through like the Explore page, at least like 5 or 6 months before I followed you.
I was on the Explore page?
On the Explore page. But now that I've been following you, and we interact too, like we message each other, we interact with each other, but I still only see probably 2 out of every 5 posts that you make on my feed.
Yeah, same with you.
So,
and it's like, I think I like and like interact with your posts too. So it's kind of like when I do see them, I do interact with them. But then why is Instagram still like lessening that, you know? And especially because I think your account, you said that you were on the verge of getting shadow banned, right?
I'm on the verge of getting deleted. Which is kind of interesting to me, because I don't really do anything wrong, but I do get a lot of people like upset, and I have my thing public. So a few days ago, Instagram had their big like meltdown thing on Thanksgiving, and I logged in and all of my content was gone, like gone, and I was like, oh my god, where's all my stuff? But I could still message people and I could post things in my stories, but I couldn't post things to my feed, and I was like, oh my god, what's going on? So I messaged them and they're like, oh, our error. But as like, you know, this and it happens to me like way too often, where I can't like things, or I can't post things, or I can't post in my story. So what I've realized with this whole beta of the liking thing, okay, like this is gonna sound like a conspiracy, but it's totally not.
I'm ready.
Instagram targeted American profiles that they either shadow ban, or accounts that follow shadow banned accounts, to remove the like feature. So if you're a creator that they tend to shadow ban, they took away your likes to lessen your desire to be on the platform, because you're already an account that they don't want, but they're not going to remove you because you haven't violated their terms of service.
Whoa, that is so fucked up.
But that's unconfirmed, but I've noticed that the only accounts that have received this likes thing are accounts like me, who have higher following counts in a category that they like to shadow ban, which is witchcraft. So, and I mean, there's tons of others, like sex workers got this issue, pole dancers. I mean, those, you know, just there's tons of communities that are affected. Larger accounts that they'd like to shadow ban were part of the beta group for the like removal. And because we can't see our likes, we're less likely to interact. And if we're less likely to interact, we're less likely to get picked up in the algorithm. So it's going to throw us off.
Well, yeah, like the poll community. You and I are both in the poll community.
Yes, we both are.
And I posted like a IGTV pole dancing. It was like in a pole dancing outfit. So like a bra and some bottoms and like some heels. And I was dancing to a 9 Inch Nails song. Mm-hmm. And I put it up, and within like 30 seconds, it said that it had been removed.
Yep.
I was like, okay. But it didn't. It wasn't removed. That was the weird thing. Like they sent me the whole thing and they were like, it was removed, and it wasn't. If you change your gender on Instagram from female to male, then you won't be bothered. So I was like, interesting. So I did that. And then the next day I posted pretty much the same thing, except it was like a mini performance. Same outfit, 9 Inch Nails, same heels. And I didn't get any notification. It was fine. Like there was way more engagement on it. And I was like, are you serious, Instagram? And I haven't changed it. And then when I was telling other people about it, like a few weeks later, they were like, I'm trying to change it and it won't let me.
I logged in and I couldn't see my activity screen anymore. Even though I have my notifications turned off, when I log in, like you still would see like the list of people that have liked you or commented, or all that. I can't see. I can see like one or two or three comments. So I get about 1 notification a minute now, which, okay, like I know that might seem like not like a lot, maybe if you don't have a high following, but I get a couple hundred within that time frame normally. So to only get to see one interaction out of like the hundreds that I could be involved in was really like a weird issue for me. And I was like, well, what do I do? I just lived with it. I complained. I sent them a help ticket, nothing. So then I changed my thing to mail about 2 days ago, and I have almost half of my activity back.
So time management, like how much time do you there's a few questions in here. How much time do you usually take to create your content?
It depends on the type of content. So like I posted a 6-minute Instagram TV video to my Instagram today, and I don't normally make videos, but it took me 6 minutes to record the video, and it took me an hour to edit the video. So that's about like how long, like, because I'm not a video editor. So
Right.
for me, it's not something I'm comfortable at. When I make a post, I say there's like different methods of attack on Instagram. Some people take a whole batch of photos on one day and then they like post them throughout the week. I make a post every single day, and I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I have to post something today, because if you don't post something, then you get thrown out of the algorithm. So I'm always like, okay, like what am I gonna post today? And I kind of have like a running list of things that I post kind of like in order. Like I'll post a meme, then I'll post a picture, then I'll post something about me, then I'll post like a tip or art or something, then I'll post a meme. Then like I try and splice up memes in there like at least twice a week, because it keeps as long as algorithmically your engagement is high, you'll continue to be shown in the algorithm. So since memes are my highest engaged content, I post those twice a week to keep the rest of it floating.
Gotcha.
So I would think it takes me about 30 minutes to create a meme, because I can normally like think about how I want it in the first like 5 minutes, but then I spend like at least 30 minutes picking apart my wording, because I'm like, is this really funny? Would other people think this is funny? And then I'm like, I think it's funny, but would you think it's funny? And then I don't interact. Like a lot of the people in my day-to-day life when I'm at work doing this, like because I'm bored, they're not a part of this at all. So I can't ask someone like, hey, what's your opinion on this? And then like all of my like friends online, I don't like, everyone has their own things going on. So I don't like send out like, hey, what do you think about this? Like I'm just like, I guess it's gonna have to go out this way. So it takes about 30 minutes to make a meme. It takes about an hour to make like a longer post, like with lots of text in the you know, the caption. And then a blog post can take anywhere from an hour to 3 hours.
So like that was another thing that you said earlier. You know, you're like, people think I'm always on my phone. How do you manage not always being on your phone? Like if you're trying to engage with you know, your following in your community and trying to post all these things and all that stuff, like how are you managing like not being on your phone 24/7?
I manage it poorly. And I mean, like, that's true. Like at sometimes like as a content creator, you have to be real with yourself. So they came out with a new update for the iOS where you can turn on this quiet mode feature, and quiet mode means that you don't get any notifications to your lock screen. Like you don't get call notifications, you don't get text notifications, you don't get app notifications. Your phone is quiet until you open it. So I turned that on during this update. It's been like game changing to me, because I'm the kind of person that doesn't even want a cell phone anymore. Like that's where I've gotten, is like I feel so overwhelmed by the internet sometimes that I'm like, I'm just gonna get a flip phone. You guys are never gonna find me. I'm moving to an island. So turning on quiet mode has been like a game changer. But otherwise, I would say like I block out about an hour in the morning, like throughout the morning, not like an hour at a time, but like I'll spend like 20 minutes in the morning, like before I go to work. Maybe I'll take a break at work, like 10 minutes here or there. I feel like a lot of people that, unless you like need the attention or something, a lot of us that like create content and have bigger followings didn't mean to get bigger followings. So we're like totally normal, and we get really overwhelmed with all the stimulus, because it's constant. I could open my phone right now and I'm gonna have like a million notifications on all the various different things, and like my boyfriend like hates my phone because I have like 100,000 unread emails, but I just can't do it. I can't open them. Like, and he's like, why don't you just delete them if you're not gonna read them? I'm like, I can't delete it, because like, even deleting them causes me the anxiety of like, what
if they're important? But then, well, yeah, I think that's a big thing, is like a lot of us didn't mean to get followings like this. And I mean, I think because of that, it's like a lot of us are pretty introverted. That's why we spend time making content, and like we're not like out and about with other people. We're just like spending time making content because like we like being alone. We like having that solitude of like creating stuff. And not that we don't like the community, but it's just like it gets really overwhelming when people treat you like a big extrovert and that like you want all of this attention, when in reality it's like I just want other people that are like-minded to I guess like agree or discuss a topic, you know, instead of like give me all this attention, tell me that you love me, you know, and you're just like, ah.
Exactly that. Like, a lot of us just started our pages to like find a little group of people that like we can interact with that are like us, and then for some reason, somehow, some way, like it blew up. Like I don't even know how my page got the way it is. Be me.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about growth.
Too, like in your, you know, a lot of the, whether, I mean, I think content creators of all type kind of have this like struggle at some point, focusing too much on the number of kind of like, oh, why am I only at this number? Or when I get to this number, I'll be happy. When I get to this number, I'll be happy. And luckily, I think I've heard that so much that I don't even look at the number. Like there were points that, you know, I had, I think 22K on YouTube, and I was like, oh, this is huge, you know, like I was like, whoa. And I mean, that's a lot of people. And then friends came to me a few months later, because I just like won't look at the numbers. I feel like the numbers freak me out. I feel like no matter if I look at these numbers with any kind of expectation, I'm not going to be happy. It doesn't matter like how big or small the number is. So I've just kind of like trained myself not to look at them. And one of my friends was like, oh my God, you're at 100K. And I was like, what? Have you ever like struggled with that? Like, is that something that?
Yes, I feel like that's a really big struggle of mine. And it really came out recently when I was writing my book, was that I struggle with imposter syndrome so bad. And to me, like, I'm just like, I'm totally normal. And then I get someone in my DMs like, can you please help me? Can you please do this? Like, you know so much. And I'm like, I'm so normal. Like why, like, I don't know. I don't get it. And, you know, so I think like for me, and like most of my friends, like they call the ones that know about my page, a lot of them don't know about this life that I'm living on the internet. Oh my God, you're like Hannah Montana. And it's like, I'm like, but yeah, a lot of them don't know. And I think that's also a big thing. That's like, I don't know, it's a big thing to me. And I know a lot of other creators that are kind of in the same boat, is like, I have a very professional life in the law industry, and law does not go hand in hand with this.
Probably not.
So for me, it's like when I started my blog, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna block every single person I know in real life from the page, so they'll never find it, and I'm just gonna live my life and I'm gonna be happy. And so like through time, I've like let some of my my really good friends and close friends know about it. But other than that, like, there's a lot of content creators that are the same way. Like, they don't want people from their real life seeing the kind of content they're creating.
Yeah, well, that was another question that came up in one of the questions, I'm pretty sure, was like, how do you tell people, like, are you ever afraid that somebody's going to see something? And on my end, I don't promote it, but if somebody finds it, because it's my personal page, like both my YouTube channel and my Instagram page are both my personal pages. It's not, I mean, like, yes, it is a brand now, but it's still my personal page. I still post personal things on there. If they followed me, you know, like a lot of people from high school still follow me, and I don't care, but it's not something that I go around and be like, oh, this is my Instagram, this is my YouTube, this is, you know, like I have other coworkers at my restaurant job that are like, I heard you're a YouTuber. And I'm like, I don't know where you heard that from. You know, like, kind of like, I don't know who you're talking to.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. But I think in real life, like a lot of people just think like we're out here with like the biggest ego and we're doing the most. And like,
yeah,
a lot of us aren't.
And that segues to two other questions that we got. Was one of them was like, why do influencers or content creators move to LA and adopt the self-absorbed lifestyle?
I love that question.
I was like, that's a very interesting question, because is that how I'm viewed? And I mean, like, you know, everybody has their own idea of who and what you are. If I didn't move out to LA, I would still be in Colorado. So like, would that stereotype still be on me? You know, and it's like, there's a lot of content creators that don't live in Los Angeles. For example, you don't live in Los Angeles, you know?
I think I love that question, because I'm not in Los Angeles, and I posted so much on all of my platforms. Like, I crack jokes at Florida witches all day long.
Yes.
It's like my favorite thing to do.
Los Angeles was never a place I wanted to live. It was definitely like a growing period of kind of being like, all right, adapt to something that you don't want to adapt to.
Yeah.
And I mean, it taught me a lot. So like, I don't want to I wouldn't take it back. It's just like, it's never a place that I would ever settle down. There's no place like it in America. So when people outside of America visit Los Angeles, I'm like, literally visit anywhere else in America though, because Los Angeles is like its own bubble. As somebody who grew up very close to the mountains and like not in a city, I was just like, why do people want to come here?
But boy, do I have a Florida ego. I definitely think like my state is superior because we have all this fun stuff happen. Like, where are you gonna find a guy that drives, like takes a horse to burglarize a house and takes the horse away? Nowhere but Florida.
Only Florida.
Only Florida. And like, I can say that about my state. So like, do I have some kind of like,
Right, yeah.
my state? Yeah, maybe, but like, I don't think living in my state makes me have any more of an ego than anything else.
This person says, I feel like creators are kind of against becoming actual friends with followers, and obviously there are just too many people to interact with, but more so in the sense that they don't want to have a friendship because the person is a follower.
I don't feel that way, but in a strange hand I do, and I'll explain why. I have made a lot of people that I consider internet friends, like you're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have a lot of internet friends that I've maintained a friendship for since I started my page. So like,
right.
Those are people, you know, like that I'm like, I feel like I'm real friends with. Like some of them have like my personal Snapchat, stuff like that. Basically, like I can get it's a good litmus test on how you message me. If you message me for the first time and you need something, you're not someone that I want to interact with on a friendship basis because you're only coming to me because you need something from me.
Right.
If you message me and like about a meme I post or something, like I have some of my followers that I like adore, and it's because like they'll message me like, your content makes my day, like I love seeing what you post, blah 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 blah, and like we'll just, you know, have a conversation, and as long as you treat me normal, we're cool. It's totally cool. But if a follower approaches me from I guess it's like how, it's not that I think I'm superior, it's how they view themselves. If
right.
They have the esteem to be like, I'm the same as you, we're totally cool. But if they approach me from the place of like, I'm less than you, it turns me off to wanting a friendship, because I don't want someone who's going to put me on some weird pedestal and make me feel weird. I just want to interact like we're two humans.
Things that I tell people is like, when you message somebody, think about if you just walk up to them and you're talking to them for the first time. I realized talking to Hannah, because she has totally different content than us. I figured that because our pages are more about like witchcraft and spirituality, that people will open up to you about like some really heavy personal stuff, but she gets that as well. So like I was kind of surprised to hear that, but it's just kind of like, are you just gonna walk up to somebody, you know, that like you see in a supermarket and you're like, oh, I follow her on Instagram, and you're gonna walk up and be like, here's this and this that like traumatized me in my life? Like, how do you know, like how, if somebody comes up to you, like if you're not like a content creator or whatever, like how would you feel if somebody was like, oh hey, I follow you on Instagram, and just walked up to you and was just like, listen to all my traumas, and you're like, hi, nice to meet you, you know, like and it's kind of like that thing of like, they feel comfortable with you because they know you, but you don't know them. So you kind of have to try to put yourself in that situation of like, it's not that we don't want to be friends with you. It's just like, there are so many people. And then when you're only coming after me when you need something, which like, we're informational, we try to be educational, and that's fine, but it's like 200 people need the same thing. You might as well just make a post about it instead of replying to all 200 posts. And it's like, it's not that we're trying to be ingenuine, it's just like, we do not have the energy or the time out of the day to like actually reply to somebody and like give you the actual time and energy, and not be like short or like sound like an asshole when really you're just trying to like get through all of the messages.
Yeah,
and I don't want to be
from a point of like, we don't want to answer the question. We've answered the question a couple hundred times.
Right. I don't not want to be friends with my followers. It's more of just kind of like, you're not going to be like what they think a lot of the time, because I've actually had people meet me in person and they were very nice, you know, like there was nothing that I was like, no, please no pictures. Like there was no, you know, like it wasn't like that. It was just like, it was cool to meet them, but it was just kind of like, they were like, oh, you curse a lot more in person. And I'm like, monetization, you know, like it's just like, it's not that I'm not trying to show that, it's just you have this idea of me and you've created what you think I am, which is fine, like that's just human, But then like meeting that person, you kind of can't like expect them to live up to certain expectations.
No, and we all have very curated feeds, the
Totally.
content
Yeah.
creators. So you don't really know me, you know what I show you. It's a very big divide between what we show on the internet and what we do in our day-to-day lives.
Yes. Oh, and that segues to the other question is where do you draw that line, and how do you draw that line of the personal stuff in your life and like what you do and don't show? Because I mean, you know, with a community, you want to be personal with them, but like there's also just some things that you just don't need the whole internet to know, you know, like really personal stuff that you're just like, maybe, you know, 70,000 people don't need to know this.
There's very real things that we need to share to be human, but because I think that's part of having a platform and not putting ourselves on a pedestal is showing that we are human too. We're stressed, we're overwhelmed, we're going through things in our lives. But where that divide comes in is if I wouldn't tell a work acquaintance, I'm not going to tell the internet.
I like that. I like that a lot. What they don't know, they can't judge on. And so it's kind of like, if there's something out there that I'm like, I could use the critique, I don't mind people judging, because, you know, like I love Pole. So, but it's like, I don't mind if somebody comes out and is like, you know, like that's okay. Because like I like Pole and I like to share it. But then, especially when it comes to like my personal relationships with my friends or, you know, just like people in my life, then I'm dragging them into it. You know, so it's kind of like at the end of the day, also, like I always ask my friends nowadays, like, can I post this? Can I tag you in this? Do you want your face or your name? And, you know, like
that's a big deal, is consent with the people that we're also including in our bubble.
Then I've had some other people like my roommates and my friends and my past coven mates, they were, oh, I'm having somebody message me like, do you know Olivia in person? Do you know her? Like, you know, like, and it was like the same few people messaging everybody that I had tagged, or that like everybody that I follow kind of like, do you know her in person? And it's like, I don't think that they had ill intentions at all. It was just more of like, they weren't prepared for that. Those are their personal Instagram pages. Like they're not creators at all on that platform. So they're just kind of like, why are you, you know, like,
I don't want to say like people get weird in the witchcraft world, but people get really weird in the witchcraft world. So I really protect my personal life from that. You know, you see a picture of me, you want to try and send me some bad energy, go ahead, baby, because it's going to come right back to you. Like, it's not even going to touch over here. You know, I would never subject someone in my personal life to that kind of pressure.
So going back to that thing of like, oh, why do they move to LA and live the life, the self-absorbed? I think another part of that question comes to a lot of content creators all are friends with other bigger content creators. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I remember being not a content creator and kind of being like, oh, like all of my really big favorite photographers are all like best friends. And in reality, they're not best friends, but they just hang out a lot, or like maybe they are best friends. And it almost feels like that clique that's like, there's no way that you would ever be able to like rise to that level. Yeah. When in reality, like that's not exactly how it is. And I'm not saying that I have really famous friends, you know, like it's just kind of like, it's like with your page and Mystic Dylan and like Adela, like they are all witchcraft-y people who have like higher followings. It's definitely not ever like, look who I'm friends with. Like that's not at all what it is.
It's not a popularity contest.
Yeah, it's not like trying to be popular or trying to be like, look who I'm friends with. It's more of just kind of like, these people are in the same area as I am, so it's kind of like they understand a lot of the struggles or a lot of like the challenges that I come into contact with, whereas opposed to like people who are not in this content creator world or like in that realm, like they don't understand certain things. So it's kind of like, that's why we tend to be friends, is because we understand all of those DMs or all of like the hundreds of questions of the same thing over and over. And, you know, like we understand those things. Whereas if you told somebody that doesn't do this, they would be like, so, you know, like it.
Yeah. That's exactly, I feel like I deal with the same issue. I think that's a really good point, is like a lot of content creators do know each other, but like we might not know each other in real life, but like we've all kind of messaged each other. If I'm totally stressed out or about like, I don't know, just the way I'm being treated online, or if you're having an algorithm issue, it makes sense for you to contact me versus contact some random person, because I've been through the experience. You know?
But I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all the questions that we went through. Let me just
there's one that I think we should address. Hold on. Let me pull it up because it was my favorite. I read it and I was like, yes. All the way at the top. It was, I'm going to read it verbatim, okay? Are you ready? Dope, demons, meth, monsters, shadow people, wicked supernatural phenomena. Loved that because first off, like, okay, what are you on? But second off, it's really important to say that not all witches believe in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it all comes down to personal ideology, what you believe, what you don't believe, what you were taught as a kid, what you believe as an adult.
Yeah. Well, and it had nothing to do with the question that I asked.
No, it didn't.
Which was, like, I was going through these and I was like, what did I ask? Like,
Okay, the question was, how do you get your name out there as a creator? And I thought that was like a really good question, because a lot of people want to be creators and they don't know how. And the best way to get your name out there as a creator is to forget that you want to be a creator. The more that you post genuinely, the more people will interact and continue to follow your content.
And if you're just creating for your audience, you're gonna get burnt out so fast. So it's like, if you're not creating to create just because you are enjoying what you create and you like stand behind what you create, that's like the heart of what you're doing. You don't want to make a job out of something that you don't love.
Easier too, like if you're starting to, I cannot make the jump to YouTube. It gives me so much anxiety. I'm like, I can't be in front of a video. And then I like run through all these things like, am I funny enough? Am I pretty enough? Can I do it? I wouldn't have things to talk about. Like, I just can't make the jump to YouTube. But for people that want to start creating, I think it's easier to start a platform on Instagram than it is on YouTube, because once you get comfortable enough talking and like interacting and being in a 2D world, you can move to the 3D pictures of YouTube once you've kind of understood how the process works.
That's a good point. Both of them are visual platforms.
Yeah.
Which is why I think a big part, like people are like, oh, why do you take, like these really elaborate photos if you're trying to be down to earth or whatever? And it's kind of like, first of all, I love taking really elaborate, beautiful photos. I love like working on my photography craft. Second, both of them are visual platforms. They have to be visually pleasing, because if I'm just posting something that's like just bad lighting and like just doesn't look pleasing to the eye, whether that's on video or Instagram, I'm not gonna like that photo. I'm gonna scroll past it. I'm gonna be like, get this off my feed.
That's exactly, you're like, why don't you just post more stuff? Why do you use all these filters? Why do you edit? Well, like, if I posted the picture the way I took it, you'd be like,
ew, yeah.
I can't post it like that. Like, first of all, that's not what Instagram is. Like, people want to see a curated, nice feed. But second of all, Instagram and YouTube are escapes from reality. So if you're escaping your reality to come to my reality and it just looks like reality, you're going to be disengaged from the illusion of an escape. Like, you're escaping into my world for just a few minutes and I'm going to give you something to enjoy.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I edit everything and I color grade everything and I put music and like da 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 da. Like, it's because I watch YouTube to get out of whatever I'm doing for a second and like go into the world that I know this channel is going to give me X, Y, and Z of like a certain energy, and that like that's the kind of energy that I want. Is when you're trying to get your name out there as a creator, you should take from your favorite creators of kind of like, oh, I like this thing that creator does. I like this thing that creator does. But don't try to become another creator, because they're already doing it and they're doing it well.
I think there's a divide between who you can curate for the internet and who you are. And if you can make those two just different enough that one is super successful, you'll always be super grounded in your real life.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely don't. It's really funny because like I don't feel like I am the Witch of Wonderlust. Yeah, well, Temperance from Wild Woman Witchcraft on Instagram. Everything will be linked down below. And but I will leave you to the rest of your day. Thanks for sitting down and talking to me, and I'll probably message you later on Instagram.
All right, catch you later. Have a good day. Bye. Bye.
So this next interview is with Hannah, known as currently Hannah here on YouTube. She's not really in the witchcraft or spiritual community, at least as far as I know, but the content that she creates is all about travel, content creating, and filmmaking, and kind of her perspective of the creator's side of content creating, and trying to kind of demystify that side of it, which I really appreciate. So here's that interview. Editing Olivia here. So there was something wrong with my recording the Skype interview, so it's just kind of random screenshots of our whole conversation, so feel free to just pop in some earbuds and listen to it as a podcast, because at least the audio isn't total crap. Well, hi, thanks for meeting me.
Yeah, no, not at all. Thanks for calling me.
So to start off, I would just like to know kind of like what you like to create and like how long you've created, what platforms you like to use the most.
So I mainly just do, I'd say YouTube's definitely like my main thing, and I kind of just do Instagram on the side because I like taking photos, and that's kind of like a fun outlet. And it started off as just like making like travel videos, because it just ended up doing a lot of travel around like Singapore and that kind of thing when I started it. And since then I've spent a lot of time in Japan, so I tend to make a lot of videos about Japan, but I still try to keep it as broad as I can so it's not just about Japan. But recently I've started to do a bit more like introspective kinds of videos, dissecting topics and things that like cause a bit of concern with me, or things that I think needs to be addressed that I feel as though people aren't talking about. Like, I'm not sure how old you are, but I feel like I'm at the age where, because I didn't have the social media lifestyle that kids these days have, like they're growing up with it the whole time. I'm just gonna take this out. They're growing up with it their whole life, and then, you know, but like, whereas like me, we didn't really have all of that growing up, and then right now I'm a bit older, still doing social media obviously, kind of able to, I don't know, look at it from a different perspective, I think. I mean, I'm not that old, but yeah, I still feel as though like I'm at like a, I don't know, a different kind of position to a lot of kids.
Really liking your content about kind of thought-provoking ideas of just kind of like how social media interacts with us and how we interact with it. And I thought it was nice too, because you're really good at staying kind of on that middle ground of being objective for both parties, or like any other parties that are in the situation. The misconceptions that you get really commonly when you tell people what you do, like about you or your lifestyle.
Well, it's probably two main ones. So like living in Japan, like the Japanese YouTuber like industry is so different in Japan as it is to like America, or you know, the Western world or whatever, in that most Japanese, like most of the really popular Japanese YouTubers, they're doing kind of like stunts like Jackass or like Mr. Beast, that kind of thing. Like they're like fill pools with, I don't know, spaghetti and like swim in it, or like they just do like crazy things. So the image of YouTubers in Japan is like, oh, YouTubers are just crazy. They're just doing like insane things like Logan Paul, that kind of thing. So they don't really have like the best image, or they especially don't have like the image of like, oh, like that YouTuber could also be a professional person. Like there's no kind of like professional image towards YouTubers in Japan. But I mean, in terms of like my friends or I don't know, family, that kind of thing, I'd say probably like the biggest misconception is that like I'm always having fun. Like I'm just always traveling and I'm always seeing beautiful things. You're living the dream. But even though like, you know, maybe like on my channel, it's like just travel or seeing new places. And of course that is wonderful, and I'm super grateful for all of that. But in the reality is that's maybe like 20% of my life, and the rest of the time it's just me sitting at a computer, like getting back pains because you've just been there for hours and hours editing and, you know, all of that. Yeah, it's probably like one of the biggest misconceptions. But I mean, of course, it's totally understandable because that's the only stuff, well, I mean, most of the time that's the only stuff that I would really, you know, put onto my YouTube channel or Instagram, because that's what my channel is. So I understand people thinking that for sure.
What you were saying about Japan, I get a lot because I'm currently living in LA. That stereotype of the YouTuber in LA, of very like, you know, fashion hauls and like look at all the stuff that I bought, and I think if I was still YouTubing back in my hometown Colorado, that'd be a little different. But being that I'm like, oh, I'm a YouTuber and I live in Los Angeles, you get a lot of that, like, of course you do, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I feel like especially like YouTubers in LA, that's like such a community, and there's like such a like image around that. Like so many people can associate that with so many things.
So I'm gonna ask you a few of the questions that they asked me, and
yeah,
a lot of them were interested in kind of like sponsorships, because a lot of people are kind of, and AdSense, because it seems that a lot of people think that we just make bank.
Oh, right.
You've got 100K, you know, like you're set for life.
Must be. Yeah.
In reality, you're like, no, you know.
Still struggling.
Yeah.
I'm actually like just about to make a video about like sponsorships, like breaking it down. What are sponsorships like? Kind of like basically exactly that. So I'm happy to talk about it.
The first one is asking how much money you get from like YouTube views alone.
Well, I think like it like greatly depends on the content, as I'm sure you already know. Probably you already know everything I'm about to say, but yeah, it depends like so much about what kind of content you're making. So obviously these days, anything that's directed towards kids or like family friendly kinds of stuff is not monetizable anymore, so people are just not making any money from AdSense anymore. For someone like me who's just got like regular kind of channel, it also then depends how many ads I put in a video, because if a video is over 10 minutes, you can put as many ads as you want in the middle. I generally only put like one at the end and then maybe one mid-roll and like just the ad at the end kind of thing. But I mean, you know, not everyone watches all the way through. Also depends if people click on the ad, if people watch the whole thing, all of that. But I think like generally it translates to roughly 1 million views is about $1,000 from what I can tell. But like that would differ from my channel to someone else's channel. So yeah, then when you look at YouTubers with really huge channels and they get like 20 million views a video, but they're probably also in like the YouTube preferred, which is like another like extra level, and that gets so much more money as well. So if they got 20 million views, it's like probably 50K. But I don't really know. I can only speak for myself. But roughly it's like $1,000 per a million views, something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah. It like you said, it does depend on the ad, because my content is different than yours. So it's kind of like you're gonna get different ads put on your channel, whereas I'm gonna get different ads, and it just depends on how much the company is paying YouTube to put those ads on there. And so, like, if those ads are, you know, more expensive, then you would get paid more. Whereas, like, if they're not, then it can range from, like, what, 5 cents to $2 on each ad, just depending.
Yeah.
And $2 is, like, also, a lot of money on the...
Yeah, I was like, whoa, $2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of people don't realize that there is limited amount of ads that YouTube has to put on videos. Like sometimes when you watch a video, you might notice that like, oh, there were no ads on this video, but you know, maybe the video was still actually monetized. So there is ads sometimes, but then sometimes when you're watching, there isn't any ads left. Like there's hundreds of hours uploaded to YouTube every single hour. Like I forget what the stats are. It's something like 400 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube every day, I'm like way out of it, but there's just so much content is uploaded to YouTube. There really literally isn't enough ads to go around to everyone. So sometimes you just might not get any ads on that time. I mean, I think they disperse it kind of. But yeah, sometimes people are like, oh, that's weird. I didn't get any ads on this video. Is this not monetized? I'm like, no, it's monetized. It's just sometimes there isn't any ads to go around.
And again, this is you know, from person to person, but they were asking how much work goes into a single video.
It always depends on the content for sure. For me personally, if it's like a sit down talking head video, just talking and it's cut, I can do it in like 3-4 hours maybe, if I'm like really like in the zone. But I'm usually not, because those videos are really like to edit, like super boring. But then if I do like a travel vlog, that would probably take me like one of my like small like video essay kinds of like dissecting a topic kind of thing. That one's like over 30 for sure. But they're like, those ones are so much more fun for me to make though. It's like creatively challenging. Yeah, I'm not sure about you though. How long would it take you normally?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes I do the talking head videos, and that could differ from, I mean, yeah, like 3-4 hours usually, if I just sit down and just go through all the way. The other ones that I have like B-roll, that I'm doing like a demonstration of some sort, that could really take 2-3 days depending, and like that's if I'm not working my other jobs, you know, so
right, yeah, yeah, exactly.
A lot of people are asking kind of like how you maintain a consistent schedule and like balancing life and being a YouTuber, like, you know, like, oh, well, if you're vlogging about something, like, are you enjoying, you know, like, how do you not just become work oriented or like super lazy?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think I never decided ever to say like I'm gonna upload on Wednesdays, basically because, I mean, at the time I was working full time as well, so I was like, I don't want to have the pressure of like I need to upload a video by tonight or I'm a failure kind of thing. Like I didn't want to set these like high expectations for myself without knowing like my schedule's changing week to week. I don't know how busy I'm going to be or if I've even got content to talk about. So I generally just try to put out like at least a video a week. Like I see on YouTube, it'll be like, you know, your last video was 6 days ago. I'm like, oh, time to do another upload kind of thing. It's like a very rough kind of way of doing it. But yeah, especially these days now, because YouTube is my only job, like it's super hard to balance it out, because like when you're working a 9-to-5 job, it's like it's tiring and you go to work from 9 to 5, but then when it finishes at 5, it's done. You don't have to think about it. You have to talk about it. You can go on with the rest of your life and don't feel any guilt because you finished work for the day. But now it's like anytime I'm doing anything, like if I sit down to watch a YouTube video or like watch a movie, you know, it's like it feels like this guilty feeling of like, oh, I should be working, I could be working right now, and I just always feel like I just have to be working, but like if I keep telling myself I'm gonna do that, even if I'm sitting at the computer, like sometimes it's just like I just physically can't do it anymore because I feel like I'm going insane kind of thing. But it's so hard for me to take a break because then I feel guilty, like that's super hard for me to balance. So I think like having a hobby, like something that's not your job at all and it's got nothing to do with your job, is like, I mean, even for anyone, not just like YouTubers, having any kind of job, hobby is like super helpful. And that's what YouTube was when I was working full time. YouTube was my hobby and that kept me sane. So now that YouTube's my job, I need something else to, yeah.
Another one was like trying to decide what you do and don't share with your audience. I struggle with that all the time of like, should I be putting this on the internet for the rest of eternity, or does this really need to be out there type of thing? And my Instagram was my personal Instagram and it just went from there. So now it's kind of like I'm much more mindful about the things I post on my stories and who I post in my stories and my location. And it's like things like that you kind of actually have to start thinking about. It's weird, but yeah, like what do you... How do you go about?
How do I decide? I don't know. I feel like when I first started, because I had the intention of starting a vlog channel, just like things about my life and that kind of thing. And I would just see what other YouTubers are putting out there. I'm like, oh, they're like quite personal. Maybe I should do like something similar. And I think I shared a lot more about my life then than I do now. Mainly just because I just get like a lot of people giving their unsolicited opinions, and like that's fine if they want to give like suggestions or like, hey, it'd be cool if you did a video here, like you should make a video about this. I'm like so open to that. That's great. It gives me ideas. But it's like people being like, oh, I think you shouldn't do this with your life, or like, you know, maybe you should try this, or don't do this, you can't do that. Like just people telling you how to live your life. That's what I'm like, no, this is my life, leave me alone. It caused me to like pull back a little bit in terms of like the kinds of content that I would share online, and also in terms of longevity as well. Like when I think about my life in the future, I don't want to be like super personal and open now and vlog everything in my life, and then I don't know, when I'm like in my 30s, I'm like, well, I want to have a family now. I don't want to like vlog my pregnancy and like, oh, I'm giving birth, let's get the camera, honey. Like I just can't imagine myself doing that. And then some people do that, and that's great, and other people find a lot of value and it's, you know, comfort and help in those kinds of videos. But just personally, I can't see myself doing that, and so I don't want to set myself up for failure and like share everything about my life and then not share, you know, just cut it off then kind of thing. So I'm gonna steering the channel a little bit away from my personal life, and more into like, I don't know, the world. Like, like putting my opinion into things, definitely, but not necessarily, you know, things about my life, things that people can just judge me on kind of thing.
That's true. I mean, I've definitely caught myself a few times where I'm like with some friends or like out just doing something that I'm enjoying, and then I'm like, oh my God, and I'll like pull out my phone and then like you have that moment of like, this doesn't need to be shared.
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
even if it would be fun to share, it's just kind of like, is it really that important to share? Is it, you know, like, or are you just doing it out of straight habit of like, I need to share this because that's my job, you know?
I think I've noticed a lot recently, now especially like when I'm traveling or traveling somewhere with my boyfriend, for example. If it's not like for a job and I don't need to share it, sometimes it's so nice. It's like, it's nice for me to not film it or share it or anything. It kind of feels like this, like a special moment. This is just for us. It's almost like indulgent to be like, this is just our memory kind of thing, which is something that's like really, I've started to appreciate that a lot more these days.
Let's see, I have one other, this is the last one that I really liked, that I just kind of thought was really interesting, especially being that I think I found you off of your video of the parasocial relationships video.
Yeah.
Loved that video. Made me feel so much better.
Oh, thanks. There's some people, I feel like a lot of my audience didn't quite get it, or, I mean, maybe not necessarily my audience, but people watching. They just thought that I was saying like, well, I know we're not friends, like that's fine. I was like, no, it's not the point of the video. It was like, yeah, just talking about like the relationships of social media people and how we connect with people online.
Well, and I mean, like, I do that with my favorite YouTubers, of course, too, because like if I had seen one of my favorite YouTubers, I'd be like, I want to ask her about her, like how she's doing and like how her boyfriend's doing and how her cat's doing, and like she'd be like, who are you?
Like, why do you know these things about my life?
Yeah, like, and she doesn't even share, like the one that I'm thinking about doesn't even share much about her life, but like, or like anything personal, but I just like feel like we're friends and we're not. But this question, she says, I feel like creators are kind of against becoming actual friends with followers. Obviously there are too many people to interact with, but more in a sense that they don't want to have a friendship because the person is a follower.
Right. Well, I think for me personally, and I think this goes, it's the same thing in my videos, like I'm not saying that I'm a celebrity, I'm like nowhere near the level of caliber of some like actual celebrities, not at all. But so a lot of celebrities say that too, like you should never get into, I mean a relationship specifically, but even any kind of like friendship is a relationship as well with a fan, someone who's like a diehard fan, because it automatically creates this power balance of like someone who's looking up to you on a pedestal and they can do no wrong, especially in like a romantic relationship. It's like just the worst thing you could do, because you know they're more willing to put up with whatever the hell you want to, you know, whatever your personality is like, just because they look up to you and they love you and that kind of thing already. And I think the same thing could go with friendships and that kind of thing. Like you would never know if they're actually your friends or if they're just hanging out with you because you've got fame and money and they want something from you. But yeah, that doesn't mean that I'm looking towards my fans, my followers, whatever, as less than me or inferior, or, you know, my opinion shouldn't be worth more than your opinion just because people follow me on Instagram. That's, yeah, not at all. Like, I'm not even that smart. I just spend a lot of time writing a script sometimes. Like, you never know what's, you know, other people are capable of, that kind of thing. So it's not like I would ever look down upon.
You do want to connect with all of them, but there's just no possible way to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why you have to like do these like sweeping posts and videos being like, I truly appreciate all of you, and I you know, I love that you love my videos, and I really, you know, I love that you comment and watch and that kind of thing. And it seems super like disingenuous, ingenuine. Yeah, the opposite of genuine. And because it's just like, oh, she doesn't care. She's just like, you know, spreading out love to her fans.
Dressed in Gucci, you're like, I love you all. One of my favorite things is like doing a community-wide, like I have like a community-wide hashtag, and I love scrolling through that hashtag and like responding on people's posts and, you know, like messaging that back and forth, and that's a lot of fun. But I think it just goes down to like when it gets really personal, where, you know, it takes too long to message back an email or like a direct message or things like that. People get really upset, but it's kind of like, I physically can't get to everybody, you know?
Mainly just once or twice, so people kind of really open up to me about super deep, like intense personal life issues, to where the point is like, it's almost like they're reaching out for like a helping hand or something like that. And you just feel so bad, because it's like, I physically, I don't have the time to give you the energy that you need to, you know, to get through this tough time. But like, you know, all I can say is like, is there someone close to you that you can, you know, reach out to and express these kinds of things to? Because it's not that I'm not willing to help you, it's just that I'm not that person. And I shouldn't be, because I don't know you personally. Like, it'd be better for you to reach out to someone who's really close to you and someone who really knows you and is able to give you the energy and the love that you need and deserve. But I'm not able to do that kind of thing. And so as well, I think that probably goes into why like online personalities or whatever wouldn't want to get too close to fans, because it kind of opens the door to those you know, people reaching out for, you know, expressing super deep things, and you're not able to give them the energy and the love that they need. So it's kind of like they're keeping people at bay just to make sure that, you know, the lines don't get too blurred, and so people wouldn't, you know, just open up about these things unexpectedly.
Actually, there's one more, but this one might be like way back. It was just asking how many hours you dedicate to your channel per week, including editing time. So, you know, like videos and photos, thumbnails, recording, script
like
writing. Yeah.
Boy, that's that's a lot. It would be like, I don't know, like about a full-time job's worth, probably. I don't know, what's a full-time job, like regular hours in a week? Like, yeah, something like that. I'd say that, if not more, because I just kind of start working like 30 minutes to an hour after I've woken up, and then I'll just keep working until dinner time, basically. And there's no, I mean, I don't have to, you know, catch public transport to get to work, so that cuts a whole, you know, gives me more hours to work and that kind of thing. So yeah, like a full-time job's worth for sure.
Up a bunch of like the time, like I was kind of like, okay, I started working at this time, and I actually counted it up because I was curious, and it came out to like 58 hours.
Wow.
And I was like, and I'm working 2 other jobs, and I was like, that's probably why I'm so stressed out. I was like,
yeah, like, oh, that explains a lot.
I was like, maybe that's why I'm tired all the time.
Yeah.
But you know, it's something that I enjoy, so it's kind of like hard to stop yourself when you're like, no, I want to get this done. I'm liking this, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it's stressful sometimes, but
Exactly.
But all right, well, I will let you get
Thanks for
back
the
to
cool
your
discussion.
day.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Looking forward, and
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
all right,
Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
I will leave the link for both of the other creators, both Temperance, Wild Woman Witchcraft on Instagram down below, and Hannah, currently Hannah, both here on YouTube and Instagram down below. And both of them are wonderful, so check them out. Give them some love. And yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. Best of luck, be kind to each other, and may your gods treat you as you've treated others. Bye. Editing Olivia here again. Look, this was a big video. It took me a while. I did go through and answer all of those Q&As separately just on my own, but I don't really know if that's something that you're interested in, since we kind of covered a lot anyway. Leave a comment below if you want me to edit all of that together also and do like a part 2 that's just kind of going through all of those questions just on my own. If not, I totally get why. I mean, we did go through a lot, but it's totally up to you of what you want to see. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and end this video. Okay.